Good morning to participants from the United Nations and across the Americas. And good evening to those from Southeast Asia, China, and the wider Asia-Pacific region. A very warm welcome to this virtual side event of the 2026 United Nations Multi-Stakeholder Forum on Science, Technology, and Innovation for the Sustainable Development Goals. My name is Wang Ziye from Intrinsic C, and it's my privilege to serve as your MC today. We are gathered to address a pivotal theme for today's session, strengthening regional collaboration for advanced manufacturing, innovation capacity, and industrial ecosystems in Southeast Asia. As we witness a rapid and often disruptive transformation of global manufacturing and technology ecosystem, Southeast Asia stands as a region of immense potential. It's one that faces the challenge of fragmentation. Today, we'll explore how we can bridge these gaps to drive Sustainable Development Goals 9 and 17 through stronger regional collaboration. Our proceedings today will open with welcoming remarks and introduction to the Southeast Asia Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Council, followed by keynote presentations regarding applied research and the industrial talent ecosystems. The highlight of the panel discussion featuring diverse perspectives from government, industry, academia, and investment partners. We will conclude with strategic takeaways and final remarks. Before we proceed, please allow me to share a few notes. First of all, please keep your microphones muted and the cameras off unless you are a designated speaker. In addition, we warmly encourage interaction. You'd like to drop your questions in the comment section, and we'll pass them to the speakers and panelists. With that in mind, let us now proceed to the official program. It is our distinct honor to invite Dr. Daniel Zong, President of Southeast Asia Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Council, to deliver the welcoming speech.
Distinguished guests, respected representatives from government, industry, academia, and international organizations, ladies and gentlemen, good evening from Malaysia, and good morning to our friends joining from New York and around the world. It is my great honor on behalf of the Southeast Asia Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Council, CMTC, to welcome all of you to this 2026 STI Forum virtual site event. First of all, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to the United Nations Departments of Economic and Social Affairs, all supporting institutions, strategic partners, and every participant joining us today. Your presence reflects something very important, that the future of Southeast Asia cannot be built by one country alone, one company alone, or one institution alone. It must be built together and as a dialogue convened within the United Nations STI Forum framework. Today's conversation carries a shared coordinate. From the very outset, the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG, are not the backdrop of this dialogue. They are its compass. The central questions. Today's discussion is centered around a critical question. How can Southeast Asia strengthen advanced manufacturing ecosystem through multi-stakeholder collaboration? This is not only This is not only this is not only an industrial question, it is also a geopolitical question, a development question, and ultimately a future generation questions. The global context. Across the world today, we are witnessing profound changes in global supply chains, energy system, digital infrastructure, and industrial competitiveness. Artificial intelligence is reshaping productivity. Advanced manufacturing is redefining national competitiveness. Semiconductors, clean energies, robotics, biotechnology, and industrial digitalization are no longer optional sectors. They are becoming the foundation of economic sovereignty and law. Yet, this transformation does not unfold in a vacuum. It unfolds against a shared global agenda. Global agendas. The United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, from SDG 9 on industry innovation and resilience infrastructure, to SDG 7 on affordable clean energy, SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth, SDG 13 on climate action, and SDG 17 on global partnership. The SDG framework is the very measures by which the meaning of this generation industrial transformation will be judged. In other words, the futures of advanced manufacturing is not only about what we build and how we build it, and it is about a deeper question. Does this industrial transformation make our society more resilient, more sustainable, and more inclusive? At the same time, Southeast Asia stands at a historic turning point. With more than 680 million people, a rapidly growing middle class, strategic geographic positioning, and increasing global investment flows, ASEAN has become one of the world's most important emerging growth regions. And precisely for that reason, the industry choice made in Southeast Asia will not only shape the destiny of this region, they will shape whether the global sustainable development agenda becomes real on the ground. The real challenge, however, opportunity alone is not enough. The real challenge is this: can Southeast Asia move beyond being only a manufacturing base and become a true innovation ecosystem? Can we move from fragmented growth into coordinated regional capabilities? Can government, university, industry, investor, startups, and international institutions work together, not only for short-term transactions, but for long-term ecosystem building? This is exactly why platforms like today's dialogue are important. 3 pillars of ASEAN's next stage. As CMTC, we strongly believe that the next stage of ASEAN development will depend on 3 major pillars. First, regional collaboration. No single ASEAN country can independently build complete industrial resilience in every sector. But together, through coordination, talent mobility, technology partnerships, and supply chain integrations, ASEAN can become one of the most competitive advanced manufacturing regions in the world. Second, innovation capacity building. Innovation is not only about technology, it is about talent, it is about engineering capabilities, it is about commercialization, and most importantly, it is about creating platforms that allow ideas to move across borders and into real industrial impact. Third, inclusive and sustainable development. The true industrial ecosystem must align with the Sustainable Development Goals, especially SDG 9 and SDG 17. Because of industrial growth without sustainability is fragile, and innovation without partnership is limited. What are we building today? Ladies and gentlemen, what are we building today is not merely another conference discussion. We are building connections. We are building trust. We are building long-term collaboration mechanism between Southeast Asia and the global innovation community. Malaysia unique roles. Malaysia, in particular, has a unique role to play. As a neutral, globally connected, and innovation-driven nation within ASEAN, Malaysia is increasingly becoming an important gateway for regional cooperation and in advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, digital economy, green technology, and cross-border innovation partnership. And this is only the beginning, the path forward. Moving forward, CMTC will continue to promote practical collaboration across government, industry, research institutions, investor, and international organizations. We hope to create more platforms for talent exchange, technology transfer, joint R&D, industrial matchmaking, and regional innovation partnership. Because the future belongs not only to the countries with the largest market, but to the ecosystem with the strongest collaboration. Before I conclude, I would like to once again thank all speakers, partners, moderators, and participants for contributing your valuable time, perspective, and commitment to regional development. I sincerely hope today's dialogue will spark not only meaningful discussion, but also real action and long-term partnership. Let us work together to strengthen Southeast Asia industry future through innovation, through collaboration, and through shared vision. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. 谢谢大家.
Thank you, Datuk Dr. Yu Zong, for setting such a clear and purpose-driven tone for our public interest dialogue. Next, I am pleased to invite another key voice in regional research and industrial collaboration. Please welcome Professor Wang Han, Secretary General of the Guangdong Semiconductor Equipment and Component Society, to deliver his welcoming speech.
I'm Secretary General, Guangdong Semiconductor Equipment and Component Society. Good morning to friends from New York and the Americans, and good evening to those in Southeast Asia, China, and the Asia Pacific. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's my rich honor to welcome you to this 2026 UN STI Forum side event. The UN STI Forum is a key platform to turn science, technology, and innovation into real action for the sustainable development goals. As a for regional advanced manufacturer, semiconductor technology powers smart and green industry development. This side event, focusing on regional cooperation for advanced manufacturing, perfectly aligns with SDG 9 and SDG 17, building inclusive innovation partnerships for global sustainable development. The Guangdong Semiconductor Equipment and Components Society. Our mission is to bridge industry, academic, and research. We focus on key technological breakthroughs, accelerate research, translation, and cultivate professional talent. Our participation today is a firm commitment to regional and global industry cooperation. We also maintain long-term collaboration with SEA and TC, working together on cross-regional and cross-industry semiconductor cooperation, including standard sharing, joint R&D, and resource pooling to support the growth of global advanced manufacturing. Finally, I'd like to thank Benji Halian for the careful organization of this event, ensuring smooth cross-time Zoom participation. May today's dialogue be fruitful and constructive. Welcome again, and let's begin our discussion. Hello, everyone. I'm Secretary.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wang Han, for those valuable perspectives. To introduce the Southeast Asia Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Council and its regional mission, let's welcome the Secretary General of Southeast Asia Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Council and the Chief Executive Officer of Intrinsic C, Ms. Ravina Chen Yaohui.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and good morning, everyone. It's our pleasure to introduction who is the Southeast Asia Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Council. And I'm happy to say this is also our first event after we established. It's also our first event after this council established at the frame by the China and Malaysia. And we will be aligned with SDG 9 and SDG 17 for this. So we are not only just 能看到吗？有吗？ Let me check if the living is going well so far. Because I'm not sure that everyone already saw my presentation, which is wait one more minute. Let our tech team to solve it. Okay, great. So I saw the presentation already there. So basically for the region, which is where we focus at Southeast Asia, the industry inflection points is quite huge. It's recording the ASEAN FDI in 2025. ASEAN captured more than 50% of the global greenfield manufacturing investment, which is more than 225 billions USD. At the same time, for those kind of when we're talking about EV, about the battery, all this kind of energy transaction, this kind of, which is more than 61.5% as well. And also, South Asia have the goal, which is for the packaging capacities will be achieved per 25% at 2034. At the same time, the gap is not just a not just capital. It's also how the absorption of the capitals. So we're not only talking about how big of the land, how is good of the foundation of the industry, but also we consider a lot. Does the people in this region will have the capabilities to build these things and this ecosystem that can be accept those kind of big investment or advanced technology, all these kind of things. And let's say the cost of the uncoordinated capacities, which is from the democracy, the gap not just the capital, it's also the standard, the talent, the evolution system, which is allowed the capital to develop confidently. Like a lot of countries don't have them like a common standard yet. Like no matter China, ASEAN, or Europe or American, different countries have different standard. But if the standard cannot be same or cannot understand with each other, the industrial coordinator will be much more harder for those kind of things. So which is how we can make this kind of have the flexibility and also have the role a dynamic, a reliable, and a trustable. It's not only just producing the material, have all this kind of industry here, but also do the assembling and also distribution and using the advantage of the diplomatic and also the policy and also the whole global politics stable to like leverage the technology, the manufacturing abilities to do. So basically, say the South Asia Advanced Manufacturing Technology Council is not just a platform to provide everyone, but it's also a no-profit platform to echo the global technology trust and the capability, which is regarding for the SDG 9, the innovation and infrastructure, which is the many things we're considered as well. And it's obviously South Asia, especially for Malaysia, we do have a big capability to filling this gap, which is we have enough land, enough water, enough talent, and it's this kind of like a global talent, which is they're already here. And a lot of like international companies like Intel, NVIDIA, and all this kind of even local like Skychips, Upstart, they are going quite fast. At the same time, all the like data centers and even manufacturers, which is all here under the standard himself, is can be used CE, can be used like FDA, and also a lot of common ground with China politics and China policy as well. And also, when we in this area, we not only consider Malaysia only or South Asia only. This is operation as a multiple stakeholder platform connect industry globally, cross academic, investors, industrial leaders, and also the policymakers, which is a lot of this kind of advanced technology, not only just like research stage, but also when it consider the commercialize, how we can using daily. And this is a new organization, which is a paradigm as a traditional, is not just a traditional industrial association, which is we are a public infrastructure model with all foundation of the capability building. Like it's not just talking, negotiation, and have the core research, and we do looking for all this kind of public goods like standard, like open circular key, and also the evolution methodology, and also we just looking for the long-term cross-border and like which is a capability development that is open and transparent with each other, and all of some. It's not just the platform host event, but also we aligns with a lot of different synergies, agendas, no matter in South Asia or in global or in UN or it's in like the whole world. which is, for example, not only just a lab, the academic, but also have the different strategy hub, no matter it's manufacturers, R&D centers, lab, or even science park, which is those kind of things we can leverage, start from Malaysia, but more than just Malaysia, which is will be across the whole South Asia. Same time, in South Asia, we do have like a global innovation center located at the TRX in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which is also very strategically here to provide the space. And at the same time, the industrial park in Selangor provided the more things. And also the Penang, because we have relied on this such big industry, so they'll have the enough lab, enough manufacturing, can do all the advanced art research and development base. And we'll also leverage currently the South Asia biggest solar project, which is more than 40 acres. And so we can make sure all the innovation technology we can using at a solar data center, but at the same time, all these kind of things can be using as our industry agreement, industry upgrading as well. So 4 pillars is what we are focused, and this is what we're trying to build at this platform, including public knowledge, which is we will have all the white papers, quarterly industry briefing, and all the collaboration based on the common engineering challenges, like what kind of problem we are facing, how we can solve it practically. And the public talent, which is we're very happy to be leveraged with UNESCO EENet to provide the best talent and the industry provider as well. And also public capability. How can we co-create those kind of quality management standards and the evaluation system and the public collaboration mechanics, which is not just paper, people, or collaboration, but also the long-term co-investment and development, those kind of. So this is no matter from use or from industries or from the technology transaction, is a global focus. And it's not, even this is the first event delivered by the South Asia Advanced Manufacturing Technology Council, but we're not coming from zero. We do have a strong support from the Guangdong Semiconductor Equipment Society, and we do have the UNESCO EENet, which is strongly support at the talent part and also the standard. And we already have a collaboration for Uzbekistan map, which is this also where we already at the national standard. Same time, the China ASEAN Science Park government network, which is we've been building more than dedicated years, and all the experience, professors, investors, talent will be deeply contribution and deeply build up. And we also welcome all the audience from all over the world can be leveraged with this, no matter the public resource, geographical advantage, talent, industry base, to be do more at knowledge, standards, talent, and collaboration. So looking forward, everybody, we can be working together, which is this is also under the certified with Malaysian ROS, which is leading by the government, approved by the government, and we have a strong synergy with China, UN, EU, and also South Asia, Middle East. So this is definitely the no-profit status platform provided to everyone. And also all the transaction, all the financials will be very transparent, which is a focus on the capability build and the human and the industry ability build up. And also for all the public goods capability build and also the supply chain, which is we're not just want to be the platform, everybody get collaboration, but also how can we leverage whatever we had now, the people we have now, the resource we had now, to make it really benefit to human, to the society, to the world. So it's not just a platform, and I want to welcome everybody join us here to this foundation and for the South Asia industry future. So let us know if you're interested, and we'll be keep work on it and look forward, have all the global best talents and the best standards, best industry leaders to join us in the short future. Thank you so much. This is all the sharing regarding the council's introduction.
Thanks very much, Ms. Ravina, for giving us a clear understanding of how the Council is positioned as a neutral and inclusive bridge for regional partners. Having understood the platform, we now move to the next 20 minutes keynote presentation. This session will be extended on the current state of Southeast Asia's industrial ecosystems, identifying where the gaps lie and where the opportunities for innovation capacity can be most effectively scaled through regional collaboration. Please join me in welcoming our first keynote speaker, Professor Hu Lao, Deputy Secretary General of Guangdong Semiconductor Equipment and Components Society, on the topic of building applied research and innovation capacity for industrial transformation. So Professor Hu Lang, yeah.
Thanks for the invitation. Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Okay, we listen to you.
Okay. Good evening, good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends across the globe. With our audience today, joining from many different time zones, whether you are studying your day in America, enjoying midday in Europe, or wrapping up your work in Asia. Thank you sincerely for making time to join this important side event of the UN STI Forum 2026. I'm Hu Lang, Deputy Secretary General of the Guangdong Semiconductor Equipment and Components Society. It is my great honor tonight to share with you insights on a topic that is critical to our industry future, building applied research and innovation capacity for industry transformation. As many of you know, Guangdong is a core base for semiconductor manufacturing in China, accounting for more than 40% of nation's semiconductor equipment components output. Yet, like partners and peers around the world, we face a defining challenge, closing the gap between lab research and real factory application, especially in the field of high-end semiconductor equipment. Today, I will connect these shared challenges to the practical work of our society and explain how platform-based collaboration is helping us overcome these gaps. I hope our experience and lessons will resonate with partners across the region. First, role of applied research. Applied research acts as the high-performance lubricant of the industry economy. Without it, the gears of even the most advanced manufacturing chains grind to a halt. The dependency is more acute in the semiconductor industry. For years, high-end lithographic track systems were dominated by a handful of overseas monopolies. Recognizing this bottleneck, our allies adopted a targeted, mission-oriented R&D approach. We established a cross-sector consortium comprising top-tier universities and industry-leading enterprises. After 2 years of intensive effort, the consortium successfully developed a domestic high-end lithographic tracking system with 4 independent intellectual property rights. This breakthrough covers not only the hardware mechanics, but also the critical process recipes required for advanced lots. This case stands as a definitive testament to the value of targeted applied research. But align academic inquiry with urgent industry needs. We have not only filled a technological gap, but have also provided the industry with a cost-effective, secure, and scalable solutions to the next stage of industry upgrading. Importance of translating research. Research without application is like a blueprint without the building. The real barrier isn't a lack of research, but a failure to translate the research into action. To bridge this gap, our society launched the Semiconductor High-End Equipment Technology Validation Platform, acting as a bridge between R&D and manufacturing. The platform operates through 3 steps. The first, application and submission. Universities and research teams submit their equipment prototype, and then we connect them with 20+ key fabs for on-site stress testing of those prototype equipment. The third stage is optimization. Partners from our society will guide iterative tuning of the stability, throughput, and the non-connectivity of the equipment until those equipment met the specifications required by the line. In 2025 alone, our platform transitioned 12 projects into industry use. One of the examples is a defect detection tool that now holds 30% of market share in Guangdong's mid to high-end fabs. This is more than translation. It is conversion of research into industry value. Support is stronger collaboration. Collaboration between research institutions and manufacturers is not a nice to have. It is an absolutely must have. This is especially true when it comes to the development of high-end semiconductor equipment, a sector at the heart of technology competitions. In practice, we often face 2 major gaps that hold back the translating progress. First, research institutions tend to focus heavily on technical indicators, but often lack the full understanding of the real-world manufacturing requirements. For example, a piece of equipment developed in a lab may deliver outstanding precision, but fail to meet the demand of 24/7 continuous production on the factory floor. For manufacturers, they understand their pain deeply, but lack access to cutting-edge research capabilities. This challenge is even more acute for small and medium-sized enterprises, which simply cannot afford independent R&D expenses. To bridge these gaps, we have launched a solution, targeted collaboration networks. This initiative operates on 2 key fronts. We host tech matchmaking sessions from time to time. These events bring together more than 50 leading research institutions, including the School of Microelectronics at the Sun Yat-sen University and the School of Mechanical Engineering at the South China University of Technology. To connect with over 100 manufacturers, focusing on specific practical equipment needs. We also established industry joint R&D labs dedicated to high-end equipment. One successful example is the Guangdong Semiconductor Etching Equipment Joint Lab, a partnership between Guangdong University of Technology and the Shenzhen JCET company. These labs concentrated on short-term, industry-driven projects, such as developing a new generation of low-power semiconductor etching equipment that's directly responding to market demands. The results speak for themselves. Last year, this collaborative lab reduced the R&D cycle for new high-end equipment by 40% time. This achievement clearly proves that the integration of research and manufacturing is the key to breaking through critical technology bottlenecks. Public interest platforms. Public interest research platforms serve as the common infrastructure for innovation. This is especially true for small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, who simply cannot afford to invest their own research, development, and testing. To support this critical sector, our society operates two dedicated public interest platforms. One, the Guangdong Semiconductor High-End Equipment Testing Platform. This platform provides free or low-cost testing service for SMEs, including verifying the stability and the service life of newly developed equipment or components. Today, it serves more than 300 enterprises every year, and 70% of them are SMEs. Second, the Semiconductor High-End Equipment Innovation Data Hub. We built this hub shares valuable industry research data, such as the technical parameters of world-leading equipment and the real-time market demand for key components, openly with universities and enterprises. In doing so, it is significantly lowers the threshold for applied research and innovation. These platforms strengthen the entire regional innovation ecosystem for high-end semiconductor equipment, ensuring that no enterprise, no matter how small, is left behind. Importance of talent infrastructure and cross-sector coordination. Finally, let me emphasize, applied research and innovation in high-end semiconductor equipment cannot succeed without three strong supporting pillars. These pillars are talent, infrastructure, and coordination. First, for talent, we have partnered with 15 leading universities to launch specialized applied research programs for high-end semiconductor equipment. Each year, this program trains more than 500 professional engineers who understand not only laboratory research and development, but also the real production needs of factory. As for the infrastructure, we actively encourage the local government to invest in shared research and development facilities. One excellent example is the new semiconductor high-end equipment prototype factory in Dongguan, which is now used by more than 20 institutions. This model greatly reduces redundant investment and improves overall efficiency. Final, coordination. We society serves as a critical bridge connecting government, industry, and academia. We keep aligned national strategies such as semiconductor priorities under the Made in China 2025 initiative, with local industry needs, ensuring policies and projects truly support real-world development. Above all, industry translation in the semiconductor sector is not driven by research alone. It is driven by applied research focused on high-end equipment, deeply connected to the real industry needs, supported by public interest platforms, and powered by close coordinations. As the Guangdong Semiconductor Equipment and Component Society, we will continue to build these critical bridges between laboratory and factories, bridges between talent and industry demands, the bridges between regional resources and the global innovation growth. Thank you again to everyone, no matter which time zone you are joining from, for your attention and support. Let us work together to turn research potential into real industry strengths for more innovative, competitive, and sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you for Professor Hu Liang. We now turn from research to industry. Please welcome technologist Chang Bo An, EXCO member of Malaysia Trades Innovation Association, to share the insights of industry ecosystems, talent, and cross-border collaboration in advanced manufacturing.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you, organizer, for the invitations. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen right now. Okay, let me know when you can see my screen. Yeah, is it up? Okay, can you see my screen? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, organizer, for the invitation. Okay, today I'm very glad to be here to share the perspective on this industry ecosystem, talent, cross-border collaboration, especially in advanced manufacturing. My name is Xia. I'm from Malaysia. I'm representing MyTrees for this event. So let me share with you a little bit on this pace of the innovation in the industry. Okay, so I'm now on the slide number 2. So the pace of innovation in the industry continue to accelerate. Okay, one of the reasons is actually to continue create differentiating products or services, right, to deliver us a better user experience and also improve life. So very apparent data point to show this pace, the trends is actually the patent grants application worldwide, right? So if you look at this, the figure on the right side from the WIPO statistics database as of September 2025, we can see that the patent grants all the way back from 2010 to 2024 has been increased steadily year over year. And today we can see that in 2024 alone, we have close to about 2 million patent grants, which has those are validated, right, to be novel in the world. So based on this US PDO 2025 data analysis, the key technology areas for this recent years in the year 2025, it includes those computing interfaces or computer vision system, which actually aligns very well with the AI applications, right? And also the 3D rendering technologies, image analysis, and those are also related to the AI. And one consistent key technology area would be the semiconductor manufacturing, and also the arising one is actually the energy storage, just like the PV, photovoltaic cells, and also this for the solar panels and etc. Right. So these are the areas across the uprising in the industry. And of course, year over year, you will see more and more innovative solutions being introduced. Yeah. And the second thing is that from the industry perspective, okay, so today, most of the challenges that we are solving actually involve technical or engineering contradictions, okay? So which means a system, we are usually unable to satisfying the conflicting requirements at the same time. Let's say, for example, right, you want your devices to be small, okay, but you want them to be to have a lot of functionality, right? So these are usually you want more functions, better performance. You have to grow the size of the device and etc. But now, because of the trends, right, of the form factor miniaturization, sleek design, usually you will go the other way around. So that's where the contradictions that the engineers and the experts in the industry were solving every day by day in the workplace. And also another point is actually the engineering contradiction is like sometimes the engineering problems that we're trying to solve, when you improve one parameters, the other one is going to get worse, right? So these are the problems that actually the engineers are spending our 9 to 5, right, in the offices or in the labs, right, to find a breakthrough solution. So this is to provide a snapshot, right, what kind of challenges and then that we are facing in the industry, and then the need of the talents, right, to deliver to that. Okay, so my next slide is going to be bringing you closer to where we are, okay, Southeast Asia region. So this is actually the pattern contribution, right? It's actually a statistics from PestNet. So this graph on the left actually it shows the contributions of the patents by inventor residing in Southeast Asia region. So we can see that it is very encouraging, right? You can see the upward trend in the pre-COVID period, that the contributions of the ideas or patent grants or applications, they're actually on the rising side. Okay, and at one point it peaked at 50,000 filing per year. Okay, coming from the region. And the key technology areas that where we can we have a strength, or the higher focus area would be from this region is around materials, which means we cover the polymer, metal coating, perylene derivative, which is for the painting, automotive painting, and also the ink application. And also we have another strong area is actually the pharmaceutical, which is the substance and the medicines. And of course, semiconductor, right, is always on the key forefront, which includes these devices, the silicon substrate, the packaging substrate, advanced packaging, the interconnects, and also the manufacturing as well. And last but not least is actually the energy storage, right? We do have a strong bench strength, right, in the region, right, in terms of working on this battery cells and also the electrodes, right? So these are just to provide a snapshots, and also what are the areas, right, the strong area that we can collaborate or we can value add to this global value chain from this region. Yeah. So this is my last slide that I'm going to cover. This is talking about talent and cross-border. So just now, as I briefly mentioned, right, the problems, the nature of the problems that we are solving today in the industry, actually we require critical talent pipelines, right, like the students or university graduates to have this critical skills, right. It's very important, right. Yes, of course, the coding, everything, those are important, right. And sometimes how to use the AI is important, but very fundamental thing we really treasure in the industry is actually the problem-solving skills and also the creative thinking. These are the two skills that we really need to invest as perhaps our government education policy makers, right? So this will be a very important message, right? We need to have our talents to be able to solve problems, to be able to deliver a unique solutions or creative solutions, right, to bring the products or to bring the solutions to the market that actually will improve life and also to generate the economy for the country. Yeah, so in order to do that, okay, we need to really focus our energy or investment into the methodology, right? So for innovation, it can be systematic. Okay, and it can be systematic, and it can be structured. Okay, not necessarily must be random or by the eureka moment, right? But it can be structured. Okay, so it's essential, right? And in fact, a structured methodology is essential to have this sustainable and also the quality innovation output, which just now fellow professors, speakers have talked, right? So we need to bring the innovation, right, to the commercialization or to the market, right? So this is the the quality is equivalently important. It's not just to generate the ideas or the papers, right? But we need to really bring the impact of it, right? So the methodology of covering the ideations all the way to commercialization is very important that we need to embed into our syllabus or curriculum. And Malaysia Trees Innovation Association that I'm representing today, Trees is actually representing the theory. It means theory of inventive problem solving. Okay, which actually founded by Gendry Altschuler in 1946. Okay, so it talks about how to solve the contradicting engineering contradictions. Okay, so and my Trees was actually established about 15 years ago, and we have certified more than 300 instructors. Okay, to impart the knowledge to the industry and to the academia. And then also for the recent years, our presidents and also the committee also work together very closely with the Southeast Asia Trees, right? We're forming that alliance to grow the innovation ecosystem in the region, right? So these are the two photos. One is in Indonesia. We recently, in the last year, we have this
A profound thank you to our keynote speakers for that comprehensive overview, which fostered our insights into Southeast Asia's market. It is clear that while the technology exists, the ecosystem requires international nurturing. We will now move into our panel discussion in 45 minutes, titled Chip Diplomacy and Digital Sovereignty. I am honored to hand the proceedings over to our moderator, Technologist Liu Zeheng, Vice President of Southeast Asia Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Council, Chief Operating Officer of Intrinsixy. He will lead the dialogue among our distinguished panel of experts. They are Dr. Christopher Dan, Chief Executive Officer of NARICO, former Director of Electrical and Electronics National Key Economic Area of Pemandu, Mr. Ramesh Kumar Nadaraja, Vice President, International Business of Mimos Berhad, Dr. Shabanom Abubakar, Non-Executive Director of Afin Islamic Bank Berhad, Dr. Andrew Khan Jai, Professor of International Trade and Principal Research Fellow, Institute of Malaysian and International Studies, UKM. I now invite our moderator, Mr. Zeheng, to lead this esteemed panel.
Thank you, Ji. Wow, excellencies, distinguished guests, and delegates joining different time zones. Welcome to this official event of the 2026 United Nations Science, Technology, and Innovation Forum, right? And today's topic right now, like SSG has said, it's about chip sovereignty and technology diplomacy right now. So we are living in an era defined by chip diplomacy. Semiconductors right now are currency of global economy as we are observing on the day-to-day. And for emerging economies in the global south, right, that the conversation about SDG 9, industry and innovation, cannot simply be about attracting foreign direct investment to build factories, but true technology sovereignty means moving from passive consumption to inclusive innovation, right? So today, we are unpacking how emerging economies can bridge the gap between policy, capital, applied R&D, and through open multi-stakeholder regional networks, can we bring this forward, right? Now, you've heard from Zee on all our fellow panels, Dr. Chris, we have Ramesh, we have Andrew, we have Dr. Shah, right? So let me start this off right now to Dr. Chris, right? To Chris, right? You've managed billions of E&E investments, right, in the past. In this climate of chip diplomacy, what is the structural deficit we faced, or we have faced, when developing national threats, right? Tech FDI simply as a real estate transaction, right? Now, Chris, will you be able to share? You're mute still, Chris.
Yes, so thanks, Zeheng.
Right.
As you know, I had the privilege of working on both sides of the fence. A couple of decades working at one of the top American multinationals both in the manufacturing operations side as well as the sales and marketing side, so I know how the animal behaves. I've also spent 15 years working on the government side, and so I've seen the people getting scarred. So you mentioned me working in Pemandu as the director of the E&E NKEA. Actually, the Malaysian government recognized the issues created by of FDI in urban areas back during the administration of the 5th Prime Minister Abdullah Badawi, particularly in the northern region of Malaysia, where Penang was creating a huge magnet for resources from the rest of the region, and was ending up creating basically emptying out the rural community, right? And that led to the beginnings of still widening income distribution inequality in our country, right? And this, of course, was the effort to mitigate this issue was continued by in the administration of the 5th Prime Minister, the 6th Prime Minister, Mr. Najib, when he launched the Economic Transformation Program. And here's where I think we should share some of the most insightful innovations when it comes to balancing industrial development with what is most important to political leadership, which is the benefit, the social touchpoints, right? So when we ran the Economic Transformation Program, the most important innovation was to separate our conversations with regards to national budgets away from the typical FDI or GDP targets that administrators were used to a more inclusive, people-oriented KPIs. And in the case of Malaysia, during the Economic Transformation Program, we ran our programs based on gross national income per capita. Yeah. And this was meant to demonstrate the need for us as a country to focus our efforts not just on attracting foreign investors, but to ensure that the capital that is brought to the country truly benefits the country. And so we would. This was, of course, an attempt to alleviate the issues in the past where we would have massive improvements. Year to year, we would be reporting huge growth in GDP, whereas through massive investments from foreign companies. But then the technology never really belonged to locals. It remained, we had policies that didn't enforce our vision to transfer technologies in a meaningful manner. So, Malaysians were confined to providing labor, even in the most sophisticated, most sexy factories that people were building. The equity and the IP that was being produced in these facilities typically remained in the hands of foreign parties, right? So if you ask me about what were the main structural defects of an over-concentration on FDI, this would be one. It's the separation of asset ownership versus the people who are making the real contributions.
Well, that's amazing. No, Chris. No, then I'm moving over to Andrew, right? No, Prof. Andrew, Prof. Kam. No, in your research, right, in ICMAS, so in just importing semiconductor fabs without integrating them, right? where does that leave a developing country, and where does the trajectory in the global tech race lies right now? Perhaps Prof. Andrew, we'll be able to share a little bit of insights with all of us. Andrew, you're on mute, by the way. You have to unmute yourself. Yeah, sorry. You got it?
Try, Hi.
Yeah, there you go.
Can you hear
awesome.
me? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Zehan. As you mentioned just now, if semiconductor investments are not embedded within the domestic ecosystem, it seems like they are able to generate output without the capability. And in macro terms, this leads to a decoupling between export performance and productivity upgrading. Countries may record high semiconductor exports, but remain confined to low-value segments such as OSAT, where they capture mostly very thin margins. This creates a structural risk of a digitized middle-income trap, where growth is sustained but upgrading is stalled. But I have to somewhat say or quote a word of caution that, although we always say that, we are in low value added in assembly, part of the segment, but it doesn't mean that we cannot generate value from there as well, because there are different ways of moving up the value chain. It's not only move up into design, R&D, and also advanced packaging. You can also shift the Smiles curve vertically up, by engaging in functional upgrading as well. So if we look into it in a global value chain perspective, the issue is mostly about positioning. So without integration into, let's say, upstream and downstream activities, we are worried because it is in comparison, then it makes us like we are the price takers rather than innovation drivers. And this is a problem, because the topic of today is about chips diplomacy and technology. How do you say diplomacy? So if you do not have technology, you do not have any sort of bargaining chips to begin with, and you are basically merely a price taker, and and we want to avoid that. That's why in RMK13 we have things like try to upgrade our industry by embedding Made by Malaysia, some sort of initiatives that has been created. So I think the worry now is the trajectory became one that we are a nation of dependent industrialization unless our policy actively link FDI to technology transfers, supply development, and also talent upgrading. Yeah, thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Now, so Chris and Andrew have shared how the Smiley curve, and for those of you who have not seen the Smiley curve, it's assembly, testing, all start on the bottom, and then it's upstream on both sides, right? R&D on this side, and then moving on the other side, right? Smiley curve, right? It's bottom. But this one I want to direct to Ramesh, right? From MEMOS, our Malaysia Research Institute development. Look at the international tech partnerships, right? Now, what does technology sovereignty actually looks like on the engineering level, right? How do we actually avoid the black box trap, right? That Chris and Andrew has shared, right? Ramesh, perhaps you being the guy, right, that's seen it all, right? Can you share? Is there a way out of this, or how does it look like?
Thanks, Zayan, for the question. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Okay, great. All right. So, owning, when you talk about technology sovereignty, ideally you could own the full stack. If you own the full stack, then you have control over everything. But that's not possible for smaller economies, especially one like Malaysia. And as Chris pointed out earlier, our E&E access semiconductor ecosystem has been built primarily on FDI. So I think the key issue is about access. So when we talk about access, it's access to tools, access to technologies, access to markets. I would say those are the three things. So in terms of tools, we're talking about things like EDA tools. Okay, now you find some people are building tools that are not as expensive as the traditional ones. So these are something that can be explored, especially for lower end type of IC design work. Okay, and then when you're talking about technologies itself, okay, things like reference designs. Well, now you have RISC-V, actually quite mature, because way back in the I think it was around the mid 2000s, MIMOS actually built a RISC chip for Sonar. We never actually managed to get it into markets, but the thing is we built one using RISC, the RISC protocol. So RISC-V is a great example of where technology is available and a lot of people can pick up on it. So this gives you access. It gives you access to the technology and the type of tools which are coming up gives you access to tools. And the third one is market. Okay, so if you're talking about market, then I think we should look at what are the markets which are closest to us, you know, in the Southeast Asian region. These are the things that we need to build on. Okay, I'll stop there.
Great, Ramesh and Andrew and Chris. So I'll toss it out to the group, right? It's like, when we talk about the open infrastructure and open architectures and open source versus proprietary, right, and shared IP, when you negotiate with the tier one multinationals, right, how right, does one demand this shared common being shared with them, and how do you actually have this conversation with them, right? So any one of you, right? That's it's a toss up, right? So how do you have this conversation with these multinationals, right?
Let me take a stab at this. Like I said, when I worked in the private sector, I worked both on the manufacturing side and also on the sales side. There's one very interesting learning that I had when I transitioned over to sales and marketing. That even in my company, one of the number one semiconductor company in the world at the time, they never looked at Malaysia as an individual market. They recognized ASEAN. All the business development work that we did in my company focused on ASEAN as a common market. Okay, so it's clear from the commercial perspective that people understand, they recognize that we as the ASEAN community are a formidable market. It's a great source of opportunity. But when I move back into the government side and we see how companies engage with the respective investment promotion agencies in the various ASEAN countries, and you start to see people playing the divide and conquer game, right? They come to Malaysia with an offer, and then the Malaysian civil servants are happily engaging, not understanding that the very same person is tomorrow flying to Manila, making the exact same offer to the Philippines, and coming back to see which one of you is going to give me the best deal. And we end up undermining ourselves as a regional bloc because we fail to work as a winning coalition. I'm reminded of this from Chairman Dr. Tan's opening remarks. Should we be working more as an integrated ASEAN bloc? In fact, yesterday when I was at the Semicon Southeast Asia Expo, I had the opportunity to meet with our MIMOS equivalent from Thailand. And they were describing to me their problems, which were identical to MIMOS's problems here. Okay, a desire to do R&D, but without the adequate support from their governments. Okay, and so there was a very quick realization that if the R&D agencies of the different countries in ASEAN were to to pool their resources together, they could end up being quite a formidable platform for enabling innovation among all the innovation the entrepreneurs in the region. It's just that we need to learn to toss away the nationalistic agenda. I mean, if we truly want to drive innovation, okay, we have to understand what we can afford to do alone and what we must try to do together. As they say, a burden shared is a burden halved. If we try to convince our respective governments to fund all our ambitions together, we'll end up over-investing. Okay, that's what the ministers of economy will quickly recognize. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just chip in? Sorry,
yeah, please, Andrew. No, come, please. It's an open forum, by the way.
Yeah, I think Chris brought a very interesting literature that is going around now, whether it is regional versus national approach to avoid the race to the bottom. That is something that we are actually looking quite closely into it as well. We all know unilateral upgrading, strategies are difficult because semiconductor firms operate on cost optimization across border. If one country imposes stricter localization requirements, for example, firms can relocate within the region. I think this creates a collective problem within ASEAN. And the solution lies, I think, exactly what, you and Dr. Chris mentioned just now, on a regional coordination, where I think countries, can specialize across different segments of the value chain. Most importantly also, I think, this is a low-hanging fruit, harmonized standards and incentives. And perhaps, this is a stretch, a shared, knowledge and talent pool. It might not work because everybody has the proprietary knowledge. But then again, if you talk about services sector, movement of people, and also things like that, this transform competition into somewhat complementarity and enabling the region to move collectively up the value chain and while avoid destructive cost competition. Just my 2 cents. Thank you.
No, very, very good insights, right? This is where I want to bring in Dr. Shah, right, by the way, who has always been on she was previously from the implementation end of the national key economic area. Perhaps Dr. Shah, will you be able to share, right, on the vision and shared sovereignty and all these things, right? What are your thoughts, right? And then from your experience of implementation and experience of dealing with these multinational companies, right? What were those things, right? Dr. Shah.
Thank you, Zehan. I wanted to weigh in on what I view as cheap diplomacy, because that's essentially about positioning supply chain bargaining power. And this is a topic that has been touched by some of our keynote speakers earlier. Bargaining power in terms of our access. This is also mentioned by Datuk Chris earlier. Access to equipment, access to technology, as Ramesh mentioned, or even access to talent. Yeah, and we've also all agreed that the technology sovereignty in semiconductor is actually economically unrealistic. Yeah, given that, the sovereignty actually infers that ownership is for the entire stack from design to fabrication, right? So, whereas what we should focus on is to be able to control the critical capabilities, for Malaysia, it's advanced packaging, for instance. And we've all recognized that no single ASEAN country can actually do everything. Yeah, neither the capital, the talent depth, nor the domestic demand. So ASEAN needs to focus on building that sovereignty at the network level, not so much in integrating everything, but in the interdependence. For instance, if Malaysia is going to focus on the advanced packaging, perhaps we let Singapore focus on the R&D, and Vietnam focus on talent, and Indonesia focus on materials. So someone else can focus on energy. So So then we actually create our own ASEAN ecosystem for semiconductor. At least I feel that that is more doable, although there will be some, potential clashes of ego, if you like. Yeah. That's exactly what I thought, that, technology sovereignty is like the ultimate objective of everyone, but we are going to be able to gain more if we work together interdependently.
All right.
That's my chiming for this one.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. Right, I think Chris is trying to come in, but I'm gonna invite Ramesh, Andrew, and Dr. Shah. What do you all think, right?
I have something to say as well.
Exact same wavelength. I mean, we are underutilizing the ASEAN platform in many ways. The concept that Shah describes, where different countries take responsibility for different parts of the supply chain, is already well demonstrated in the education space, where different ASEAN member countries all have responsibilities for developing curriculum content for specific subjects. Right? Malaysia, for example, hosts Rexum. So Malaysia is actually the host of the development for science and mathematics content for education in ASEAN. Singapore owns English education naturally, and so on and so forth. We can absolutely do the same thing. But what I think with the conversation has not evolved to the right direction yet. We are still very focused on hardware. We are talking about manufacturing, which is the hardware discussion. Whereas the common touch point, if we talk about ASEAN community, is a social discussion. What are the ASEAN governments all respective, what problems are they trying to solve for their respective populations, right? Where everybody is thinking about education, about transport, about energy, and so on and so forth. All of these downstream applications that are enabled by hardware. So the source of the hardware actually is irrelevant. Who manufactures the hardware is irrelevant, because by the time it touches the consumer, okay, you then have the opportunity to customize it, the Filipino interface or Indonesian interface or a Vietnamese interface. It doesn't matter where the hardware originated. Okay, if you guys have the ability to influence the ASEAN stakeholders, okay, along this direction, it will be a game changer, I think. I don't know if MIMOS has is there a similar organization where institutions like MIMOS from different ASEAN countries all come together? I mean, this is, I think, the conversation that you guys need to have.
We do have similar institutions in other countries. I know we've worked with similar ones in Thailand, in not ASEAN, but in Japan, definitely Korea. So we have worked with institutions, research institutions, government funded research institutions in various countries. And I think it's a way forward that we should be looking at. I wanted to add something to what Chris was talking about, and go back also to the smiley curve. You see, the thing is, when you talk about the IC design or the design side of any product, okay, the design is substantially dictated by the market. Okay, meaning if you do control the market, if you control the products that the market wants, you can dictate the kind of design. So when Chris was talking about products that could be customized for the Indonesian market or the Filipino market, okay, so if you're creating products that can be customized, that means you have control over the market. You definitely can dictate what happens at the design stage. So if we're talking about moving up the curve, moving to both sides, or moving to either side, I think it's not moving to either side. It's actually moving to both sides. Okay, so that's what I'd like to point out. And one other thing I would like to say is I mentioned technologies, tools, and market access. I forgot to mention facilities as well, because you do need access to facilities if you're going to try to test your new products that you're building, especially on the hardware side. Software is pretty straightforward, but MIMOS, for example, provides the kind of facilities that small enterprises and universities can use. And I think you have similar ones in other parts of Southeast Asia as well.
Can I just add on a little bit here, Zihan? Just to continue from what I said, and then what Chris picked up and what Ramesh just said, because I think at the end of the day, we talk about chip diplomacy and whatnot, but the real constraint here is the engineers, not the wafers, you know. So when we say chip diplomacy, you know, go back to what Chris said about education, yeah. Chip diplomacy has got to include the talent visas, the education partnerships, the cross-border mobility. And this is just within ASEAN, you know, because in the long run, if we really want to create some level of sustainability for the semiconductor sector within ASEAN, who trains and retains these engineers matters more than who actually built the fab. Yeah. So that is the sustainability formula that we're gonna need. So just echoing, you know, in a you know, rather roundabout way what Ramesh and Chris just said.
Which is amazing, right? I'm going to direct this to Andrew, right, from Andrew. Now, what are your thoughts, right, on this perspective? Yeah.
My thoughts on, sorry, Zihan, could you repeat?
Oh, we were talking about talents. We were talking about how some of these talents can be developed, you know, and instead of diplomacy, you know, we should focus on mobility of talents.
I agree, because the main issue, okay, I come from university, so I know every year when we graduate, of course, you know, some say that, oh, they are not industry ready, they are not this and they are not that, you know, which is that common story that you hear. Of course, they are not industry ready because, you know, the industry evolves so quickly and so fast. So basically, you know, whatever they learn, you know, they have to do it, you know, while they are in the university. And also, you know, having engagement, university and industry engagement is very important in one sense. But then again, you know, you can never have a perfectly factory-ready graduate, you know, after you graduate from the university. So the issue now is, okay, one, are they trainable after they graduate? Again, do corporations or do all these big companies and MNCs and firms would want to train them? And I think the most important that I think Dr. Shahrukh mentioned just now as well is, you know, retaining them. It's not only merely training them, giving them the knowledge, and hey, you know, when other countries offer better wage premium, they would just run away and would just leave the company. So basically, the job prospect in tandem with, you know, the pay and also the conditions for them to be in the country or be in the industry that is in Malaysia, you know, commensurate with the skills and the needs that they want. I think that is also one issue that we also must look into it. Instead of, you know, thinking about, after they graduate, they'll work in some high-tech factories. You know, we have to now think of it as a overall ecosystem that is not only, you know, confined within, let's say, semiconductors, you know, maybe that is downstream semiconductor, that is upstream as well, as mentioned just now by Ramesh. So the whole value chain, you know, offers a lot of position, and, you know, how to keep them, how to attract them, and, you know, how to attract foreign talent as well is also an issue that we have to talk about. So basically, and of course, university have to play their part to actually like create how do you say close to industry ready graduates. So I think all of these how the constellations have to fall into place, you know, when we talk about human capital and talent. Yeah. And also, just to add on to the ASEAN also, you know, human capital can be an entry point. You know, ASEAN, we have the MRAs as well, and all the tools to allow, you know, movement of skilled workers. So that can be utilized as well.
So which is amazing, right? Now, I guess, you know, with SDG 9, SDG 17, 9 being industry and innovation, 17 being inclusiveness, you know, and then everybody come together, right? Now, so From a sovereignty standpoint, I think you can't achieve cheap diplomacy without the integration, right? Without the integration, you can't achieve true multi-stakeholder partnerships without everybody participating, right? I just want to throw it back out to all of you, right? Andrew, Dr. Shah, Chris, and Ramesh, right? In this context, right? How can we, right, in the global south, right, and everyone else, take part, right, and be a part of this technology conversation, this chip conversation, this AI conversation, this semiconductor conversation, because we'll be having fierce debates, right, as to how it's happening, who should own what, and how this will pan out, right? But I just like to get your honest views, like honest feedback. How do
I
we
want to go
view
first.
this?
Yeah,
Yes, Dr.
I'm
Shah,
going to go
please.
first. No, because I wanted to make this point earlier, but I forgot. I think up to now, our discussion has always been on the supply side. We're talking about the supply side strategy. It dominates the conversation so much. But if we want to make this whole ecosystem and interdependence within ASEAN, for example, if we want to make that work, we need to start focusing on the demand side. So what is the demand side? The EV supply chains, the AI infrastructure, the data centers, So this is where the ASEAN countries can really become formidable, because we create our own ecosystem that includes both the supply and the demand. And I think that discussion needs to happen if we even want to think about technology sovereignty. So I'm just going to stop there for now.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yeah. I will jump in now, always. I think in my mind, the biggest thing that the ASEAN stakeholders need to confront, and I kind of regret that our Malaysian didn't take advantage of our chairmanship last year to confront this issue. ASEAN, although although the rest of the world, the commercial world, views ASEAN as a single market, ASEAN itself is not a formal economic bloc. We are a cultural and social organization. All right. Unlike the European Union, the European Union has played it very well. They recognize as a small group of small countries cannot effectively compete with the giants. They have to come together as an economic bloc with common regulations. So like I mentioned before, the FDI game, the MNCs who play the FDI game well will continue to divide and conquer among the different countries, and wages will be depressed because MNCs actually demand weak enforcement of labor rights and so on and so forth. Okay, Malaysia is a very clear example. I'm gladly say it now. We are admit it. We are the only country that legally does not allow registration of a national electronics workers union. All right. And this was done. This legislation was put in place at the behest of the so-called investors. Right? If you allow your workers to unionize, we will invest in other countries. So if Malaysia is faced with this kind of threat, not knowing that Vietnam is also facing the same threat, okay? There's no way we will develop the backbone to say no. The only way to put up a fair fight, okay, so that we can behave like China behave, where China is in a position to make demands to the MNCs for local participation, for technology transfer and all that, is if all 11 countries of ASEAN come together with common policy with regards to FDI. Of course, then, if you level the playing field, then of course, where's Malaysia's advantage? We lose our leading position. Every other country will be thinking the same way. But this is me being naive. I'm in my retirement age already, so I can afford to start talking like this. But I wish ASEAN would get its act together, right?
No, thank you, Chris. That is amazing insights right now. No, Ramesh and Andrew, and I want you to hold a bit, but I want to reverse those whole conversation right now. So on the pitfalls that I'm going to ask everybody here in the room, right? On the pitfalls and the traps and the things that we have done wrong, right? And we wish we could have done better. What do all of you think? We should have negotiated better back then. What we could have done better back then, or what we could do better today, right? To negotiate, to ensure that we have a stronger position now, right? Things that we can share with our fellow friends out there, right? That's tuning in, that's listening in. Since Chris, you're on the big screen, you go first, and then go with Shah, go with Andrew, and then we go.
You're letting me go again, or you're a risk taker?
Yeah, risk item.
Yeah. So, FDI is not a bad thing. Okay, FDI is essential for any emerging economy. We need the capital, we need the technology transfer. But what the FDI administrators need to understand is they must always keep their eye on the ball and understand when FDI has already served its purpose. You do not need to be on an infinite or incessant FDI hunt, right? There will have to come a time when you say, okay, we have enough already. Let's transition our industrial promotion strategy to the next phase. Okay, more local ownership, moving up the value chain, and so on and so forth. The other thing that FDI, the economic ministers need to understand, and here's where economic ministers and trade ministers tend to not see eye to eye. FDI, like I said, is not a bad thing. It's the distribution of the surplus of FDI, of the results of FDI that is the issue. Okay. Now the problem we are seeing in Malaysia today, urban property prices are outstripping inflation. Okay, wages are not keeping up with the increases in prices, and that's because the rich are getting richer. FDI benefits asset owners, capital owners. The 80% of the people below, at the bottom of the pyramid, do not benefit from FDI directly. Okay, the government needs to ensure that whatever benefits that accrue to the original entrepreneurs who benefited from the FDI are properly distributed by way of look at how Singapore did with the HDB program. You use the money that you earn to make sure that you have a proper housing, you have a proper social public housing program. You ensure that education systems are properly funded, R&D is properly done. Everything the rest of the country enjoys the benefits of FDI, not just the people in Penang or the Klang Valley or in Iskandar. Why does Malaysia, after 60 years of independence, people still have to travel 12, 14 hours, to go back to celebrate Hari Raya in Kota Baru? All right. This is not what an advanced country should look like after 60 years of independence, right? We need to make sure that the whole country, not just the people in the urban centers, benefit from this FDI push, right?
All right.
So
Thank you, Chris. Yeah. No, sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were ending. Yeah.
No. I'm saying because we're talking about advanced manufacturing, and I always, this is always an urban discussion. All right. So I just want to say, okay, this has to translate. The benefits should translate to. I'm appealing to the other people here, not manufacturing people. There may be people in the audience who are looking at higher policy.
Yeah. And perhaps I should know directly to Andrew, Prof. Andrew. Given the insights that Dr. Chris has shared, what do you think right now? So it's an open Q&A, rapid fire.
Your question just now is your question just now is regards to which boat we have missed, or whether if we can turn back.
How do you rewind? Turn back time.
If we can turn back time, what things that we can do differently. I was reminded by the how do you say, strategy that Singapore EDB applied when they deal with Tata Steel back in 1960s, where there is a huge component, training component being embedded when the negotiations was done, back in those days. So basically, it seems like there is a clear structural technology or knowledge or technical transfer. I mean, we tried that under PSDC, but it's not a national initiative. It was mostly on Penang. I mean, but of course, rightfully so, most of the MNCs are there as well. So, but then again, Singapore did it and created a lot of vocational and technical skills where they harness all these skills and all this knowledge from all the FDIs or MNCs that come in. I think we missed that boat on that part, although there is some skill transfer, but it's more on the horizontal side. Ex-workers of Intel comes out and becomes a CEO of, but not the skills part. And also, we do not have vocational skills or technical schools that deal directly in harnessing the knowledge of the MNCs. That is one. Then second thing, if after saying that, it means that generally I think technological upgrading relies very strongly on knowledge diffusion through labor mobility, supplier development, and research collaboration. If they operate in isolated enclaves, knowledge remain internal within the multinational. So the country fails to develop our own domestic engineering. Hence, if you talk about the chips, how do you say, diplomacy, okay, and we do not have much chips to begin with. So basically, So basically, we missed the boat in creating that talent. We are so contented with employment, contented with achieving macroeconomic targets. I think we failed to institutionalize or maybe make it a clear how do you say objective where MNCs come. We tried that after, a bit later. Now we are the NIAs. We have all this aspiration. But I think when China went to the WTO, the whole thing was a bit late. So I think we missed the boat on that one, in my opinion.
No, but with this comment, sorry, Dr. Shah, I will shoot it directly to Ramesh. Right? What are your thoughts right there?
Okay, maybe a bit controversial. Because
precisely. I love the controversial stuff, right? That's Ramesh.
Okay.
Back to you, right?
I think what we should have done is we should have focused on product companies. Products, because it could be consumer products. You see, we spoke to a lot of companies that do build products, okay? And when we talked to them and we talked about where do you obtain your chips from, who dictates what your chips, which chips you should use in your products, etc. Can you look at buying chips that are Malaysian designed, that sort of thing? They say, no, look. The products, what we build is we build for brand owners. Okay, we build for brand owners, and the brand owners are the ones that dictate what should be the functionalities and what should be the chips that go into the designs. So we don't control. You see, so if you control the market, okay, then you can control what happens on the design side. Then you can look at building IC design, look at building electronics design, and so on. The higher value work. So to me, I think the FDI and all that, it's great. We learned a lot about electronics industry, about semiconductors and so on. But if you ask me about where we missed the boat, it's the product side.
Yeah. You're right.
Maybe.
All right. Dr. Shah.
Yeah.
Now it's your turn, right? Now it's your turn. Yeah, it's your time.
This is gonna sound as though I'm trying to give a conclusion, but I'm not. Okay, I just want to make a point here about what Chris, Andrew, and Ramesh have said, because I had 2 points that I wanted to raise. One is the FDI, and I agree with Chris. For the longest time, our focus has always been on the FDI. And I don't believe that we've missed the boat, so to speak, on focusing on the actual value creation on that. It's just that we need to continuously improve on how we define FDIs, So when I was handling the delivery management office at MITI, Ministry of International Trade and Industry then, we were always talking about high impact projects. Yeah. So what are these high impact projects? So we said, okay, projects that are not only huge in its currency value, but also in the quality of jobs that it helped create and the externalities. You build the local supply chains for it, so we can help develop our SMEs, kind of thing. So great. So we have that definition, but over time that needs to be refined further. Because like today we see a lot of FDIs coming for data center, for example. But how many jobs is that really creating? It's who knows? Maybe 100,000 square feet that data center would require 5 people.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. I'm probably over dramatizing that at this point. So that's one. So we need to continuously improve on our definition of FDI or value creation of the FDI impact. So that's one. The other is, again, sorry, I know Prof Andrew is a better spokesperson in this topic, but I've been so invested on the topic of talent, because even back then my message to the MNCs were, we don't have to do industry ready engineers for you. You make them ready.
Yeah.
What we do is industry relevant. We make sure they have all the fundamentals to offer not just the MNCs. We have our SMEs to support as well. So industry relevant engineers, not industry ready. MNCs, you make them industry ready. Okay. So, and then on the topic of product, and I love this when Ramesh raised this, that is probably the boat that we miss by a lot lah. Yeah. Because I'm also looking at the aerospace manufacturing sector that we have in Malaysia, and mind you, this is very relevant to our E&E as well. Yeah. Because I recall that Malaysia now manufactures the nacelles of the Rolls-Royce jet engines. Yeah. But Singapore gets to make the cowlings, the more precision engineering stuff, components, not because we didn't have the skill sets, but we were just, maybe we got a bit too comfortable with doing other E&E components at one point. We were not focusing on the more, complex products and parts. And this is the same if we look at the MRO sector within aerospace, the maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Did you know that Malaysia Airlines used to be an industry leader for MRO? We used to be the industry leader in the 1980s, but we are not so there today. It's all in the Seletar aerospace cluster in Singapore today, and it's with the Lufthansa's and the SQs. So A little bit, yeah, on the product side, on the high tech engineering stuff. Yes, we've missed the boat really, but we still have time to play a bit of catch up. I think that's all for me.
To help us wrap it up, right? A word or something for all of us to move forward with a little bit more hope, So what will we think should the South or the Global South look into or learn from, or at least from us or from everyone else? What can we learn from right now? One keyword, right? I will start with Ramesh. Right? Ramesh, what is the one thing? Yeah.
You asked for one word, ASEAN.
ASEAN.
Yeah.
What in ASEAN can we learn from, right? But from the global South.
Build ASEAN products. Okay, so the product can be designed one place, parts of it manufactured in another, packaged in another, support and maintenance in another, etc. Build ASEAN level products, okay, which the ASEAN countries can accept as something that we should prioritize in supporting.
Amazing. Chris, what are your thoughts then?
I will expand on that. We have to just educate everyone that we are more alike than we are different. Okay, our problems are not unique to ourselves. And so if I find a solution in Malaysia, that solution is going to be equally applicable in every other country in ASEAN. So let's stop being nationalistic, okay, and focus on what the people need. And that's what's going to create that common demand that's going to drive the volumes for whatever devices that you want to create.
Beautiful. Prof. Andrew, right now.
Yeah, the curse of being like the latest speaker, most of the points has been raised up together.
Not yet, right? Dr. Shah's gonna.
Seriously, when you talk about the first thing, I think about, is regional coordination, because, we are in a region that, I think is somewhat enviable in the sense that, everybody, take a step back, just to accommodate each other. And that is one of the strength, regional coordination, and we have all the institutions and all the, I want to say it's perfect, but then again, it creates, a large market for everyone to play in, larger and more stable demand pools, deeper labor market, specialized skills, and also the network effect that we have mentioned so much also just now, and also the innovation supply chain. I think we cannot operate in silos. For South comment. If you want a lesson to take away, it is inter-coordination with one another. I think that is my comment.
Wow. Wow, Prof. Andrew, you took all of Dr. Shah's opportunity. Dr. Shah, okay, sorry, you are now left with the last. You have to conclude all of us. You have to summarize.
I think Andrew took all the words from me. But if your request is still one word, I wanted to say value chain or supply chain, but I think it is one word. I think it's ecosystem. It's just that I personally don't like the word ecosystem very much, because it's so ambitious. And it connotes, a lengthy incubation period. So I prefer this value chain, because we can all come in. Each of the ASEAN member country can already come in with its own value offering, today. So we just need to, make sure that we can coordinate this for all of us to create this, entire semiconductor playbook for all of us to participate in. So that not much of a conclusion, but those are my last words.
Zehan, can I break the rules for a while? Just because I felt bad, because you say one word, right? I think another one word that we can think about is resilience.
Amazing.
The resiliency of this region, I think it is something to be proud of, as we see that, I mean, there are some disagreements, but we are not as fragmented as some other, groupings, regional groupings.
Amazing. And I guess now to conclude, right, for United Nations Science, Energy, and Innovation Forum 2026, and looking at how things are panning out and how we can learn from each other, right, and then looking at ASEAN, right, and how we have been conducting, how we have been doing things together. I distill from the conversations from knowledge and insights from all of you, right, Andrew, resilience, it's collaboration, it's integration, it's ecosystem, or value chain, and it's bringing the locals, or the people, in the local ground on board, right, with all the things that we're doing, right. I guess, I would like to conclude, right, with all of us here and this site forum, and I guess, for all of us, right, on technology, diplomacy, and chip sovereignty, right? And not so much on sovereignty, but I think in diplomacy, I think all of us will have to work together. All of us will have to collaborate, right? It's not just ASEAN, right? It's with Africans, it's with Latin Americans, it's with everybody, right? I think that the global trade, the global movement of technology, the global movement of chips, the global movement of innovation, the global movement of everything, it has to move, right? And we have to learn from each other. It cannot be a siloed, ecosystem on its own, right? Or else it would never succeed, right? I could not imagine, how an ecosystem like that could succeed, right? But so I guess it's all system, get together kind of thing, right? So and let's take this opportunity to thank all our speakers, because it's 9 p.m. here in Malaysia. It's 9 a.m. over there in New York. Peace to all of you over there. Oh, 10, sorry, 10. Yeah, so it's amazing. Dr. Shah is in London, so she has more time. She can stay on.
3 p.m.
Lucky you.
So thank you, Ramesh, Andrew, Dr. Shah, Chris, amazing. So I hand it over to back it to our coordinator. Z, back to you.
So we are delighted to hear such an insightful and productive exchange. If your questions haven't been addressed or you may have more later, just leave your messages and we will collect them and answer you privately or in other forms after this side event. We would like to thank our panelists one more time for their transparency and for highlighting the importance of inclusive innovation that remains aligned with the public interest. Thank you all for your contributions. As we draw to this session toward a close, allow me to briefly summarize a few key messages that have emerged from today's session. First of all, it is clear that Southeast Asia holds strong potential in advanced manufacturing and industrial technology. But unlocking that potential requires much stronger ecosystem coordination. No single company, university, or country can address structural gaps in talent, research translation, and standards alone. Regional multi-stakeholder cooperation is not just helpful, it is essential. Secondly, engineering talent development remains the core foundation for industrial upgrading. Across nearly every intervention today, we heard that the alignment between industrial needs and university curricula must be deepened, and that practical mechanisms such as internships, joint research, and certification programs are critical to building a future-ready workforce. Thirdly, bridging the gap between applied research and industrial application is a shared priority. Stronger industry-academia research collaboration supported by new platforms can accelerate technology adoption and innovation diffusion across the region. Finally, today's introduction of the Southeast Asia Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Council offers a concrete example of how a non-profit public interest platform can sustain this dialogue beyond a single event. Such a platform, rooted in inclusivity and partnership, directly supports the ambitions of SDG 17. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the conclusion of this side event. On behalf of the organizer, Southeast Asia Advanced Manufacturing and Technology Council, as well as Secretariat, Intrinsic C, we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our distinguished speakers and guests for their time and vision. We hope this session marks the beginning of new partnerships and a more integrated Southeast Asian innovation landscape. Appreciated once again, and we wish you a successful continuation of the STI Forum. This session is now officially closed.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.